Come take a journey with us as we take you back to our roots, growing up and living in North Idaho.
From the values instilled in us by our family and community,
to our journey of faith in overcoming challenges,
to our love of the outdoors where we find solace and adventure,
to raising a family,
and our passion to help others achieve their goals in real estate and investing.
We want to share our triumphs,
our failures,
and life lessons along the way, in hopes you will be encouraged and learn a little more about what this place we call home has to offer.
I am Jamie Jenisick.
I'm Sherrie Jenisick.
Born
and raised in North Idaho.
This is Rooted.
Every story has a beginning. My journey is intertwined with the lives of my parents, and to share my story, I must first tell theirs. It's one of courage, hardship, sacrifice, and love. It's shaped by the echoes of the past and aspirations for the future. I wouldn't be where I am today without my parents, and so my story begins here. Let me introduce you to my parents, John and Margie Crawford.
Hi, my name is Margie Crawford. I was born in Santa Ana, California. I'm a seventh child of 8. My mom was a single parent, so she raised us. We moved gradually to Gilroy, California, and I was raised there most of the years. I went to school there at Gilroy High. I met my husband in 1970, and we moved to Kellogg, Idaho. In 1978, we bought a home, so I went to work at Shoshone Living Center, which is a nursing home facility. I worked there for 20 years. In the last 5 years that I was there, I worked in occupational therapy and physical therapy. And then when I left there, I went to work at Kellogg Physical Therapy and worked there for 17 years, which was a blessing. I got to meet a lot of people from the community. I just loved it.
My name is John Crawford. I'm named after my dad, John Crawford Sr. I was born in Wallace, Idaho, a raucous, active, tough little mining town. I was born in the Providence Hospital. It's a Catholic hospital. This is where I used to go to school. I went here from the 1st to the 8th grade. It's Our Lady of Lourdes Academy. It was run by the Sisters of Charity of Providence. They lived right across the street, the house directly behind you. And they walk across and go into school here. I left here after my 8th grade year and went to the public school in Wallace. So now it's been converted to an apartment complex. There's a lot of history here for me. Reading, writing, and arithmetic. Talk to the tune of a hickory stick. Yeah, a lot of memories. I transferred to the Wallace Public School, junior high and high school. I attended there through my sophomore year, and then we moved to San Jose, California. My mother took a job there and working for, I think it was 8 or 9 cardiologists at a clinic. We moved to San Jose, and from there we moved to Watsonville, California, which is just south of Santa Cruz on the Pacific coast. I graduated from Watsonville High. About that time, the Vietnam War was going on, so when I was a senior in high school, I had to register for the draft. So about a year later, I volunteered for service with the Navy, and then I volunteered for service in Vietnam with MCV-5, attached to 3rd Marine Division. I did 2 tours over there in '68. We were based out of Dong Han, the DMZ. After I completed my military service, I got a job at NASA Ames Research Center working on shipping and receiving, and I had several other jobs. I met your mother in 1970. We eventually got married about a year later. We had our daughter Sherrie there. In the interim, We used to vacation here in Idaho. We'd come up to, to where I was born, and we went camping and fishing. We camped and fished in Montana. We traveled to Glacier Park. Beautiful country up here. I really missed it. When living in San Jose, we didn't have that. There was no public lands, not any places to hunt or fish, really. There was reservoirs to fish, but there was surely no trout or cutthroat or anything like that. I think it was the summer of '75 we vacationed up here, and we got back, and I was like, I need to move. We need to move.
Yeah.
Really missed Idaho. So we did. We came back in October of '75. I got a job with the police department. We bought a house a year later. We settled down, and the kids, who, of course, went to school. They were very active in school. My daughter was in dance team and track, and Jennifer was a cheerleader. David was a football player in track, and Jared, he was very active in cross country and track. Went to state about 8 times, set a school record in the 2-mile. And we did a lot of camping and fishing and a lot of outdoor activities. It was a unique time. A lot of memories, making memories. Those were good days. I was chief of police for 10 years in Kellogg. Transferred a year or two later over to Kootenai and retired Kootenai sheriff. Some of the things that I participated in when I was a young boy growing up was camping and fishing. I'd take my pole and I'd be gone till dark fishing. I played baseball in the summer. I played Little League, Babe Ruth. But I had a good childhood in Wallace. I was a paper boy. I had 2 routes. I'd get up early in the morning and deliver papers at 4:30 in the morning before I went to school. I got out of school and I'd deliver more papers. I like to have some jingle. Yeah. And this is where I used to live, right here. 511 5th Street. Well, there was a house there. And then we had 2 lots back here. We used to get up on top of the buildings and throw eggs at cars. I lost my dad when I was 9, and so we didn't have a lot of money. My mother worked at the Wallace Hospital. So if you wanted anything extra, you had to get out and earn it. Our story was told in a national magazine, the Ladies' Home Journal, how America spends its money. Out of many applicants in the U.S., we were chosen. So the story about, the time when my dad, I lost my dad and Mom had to raise the kids and money was tight, and yeah, there's a lot of pictures, and I have a copy of the Ladies' Home Journal at home. So anyway, love Idaho, beautiful place, a lot to offer up here. It's great, especially after living down in San Jose in that area. The commute, I used to commute 55 miles one way to work, made for long days. So this is High Street, and I lived over on Elm Street, and we walked up to High Street, and we would start from the top there and ride our sleds down here. The city had this cordoned off for sleigh riders, and I mean to tell you, you would fly, sitting up especially, but coming down, you get up there and you holler track, so that everyone would sort of clear off because there was riders coming down. So I made it one time from the top of the hill to King Street over here. That's on the other side of the stop sign. And one time I think I made it just into Queen Street, that alley. And after school we would hooky bob. You know what that is? So when the cars would come around here, we'd grab the bumpers and get a ride, like this. And you never wanted to get the exhaust pipe, that side of it. There'd be 2 or 3 of us on the back of a car. I had to bail out one time, and my gloves, it was so cold that my gloves were stuck in the back of the car. And the car was tooling down that street there. Yeah, but it was quite a thrill. There used to be apartments right over here. They're no longer there. But yeah, we had a lot of fun times on this hill. It's quite a ride. It's a great place to grow up. Well, you know, I was working at Ames Research Center, and I left there. I worked part-time for Gilroy Foods, and then I got a job at the city, worked for the Parks Department, Nature and Science Department, then later with the police department as a public officer. I worked in animal control, and that got me interested in law enforcement. So in the interim, at night, I would take classes through the college, San Jose City College, and law enforcement classes, you know. And that got me going in that direction. I came from a law enforcement family. I had cousins, uncles, my dad. So when I was about 28, I was thinking, 26, 27 in there, what am I going to do? You know, I have a family, I have kids, I have responsibilities. I want a profession. I had a partner that was a reserve officer, you know, for Palo Alto, and the match was lit. I loved it. So I attended classes down there, and we were coming up here on vacation. I thought, I'll just stop and put an app in. I didn't expect anything, and yeah, we have an opening.
Yeah, he said he wanted to come over here and help little old ladies cross the street.
I wanted to be that knight in the white shining steed with my sword. Da, 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 da. Anyway.
I think it would have looked very, very different. The times over here were so much more simple, close-knit community. You know, in California, you just had just tons of people. Kids sort of get lost in the school system. When we moved over here, everything was like, the kids were, it was more individual, you know, attention to the kids in school, and they loved it. They went out for Little League, and they played football, and, you know, John mentioned all the sports that they were in. But for us, I think it would have been very different. I think it was a lot of tension in California. And moving here, we just got closer. I think moving here was a blessing for our whole family, for our kids, good place to raise our kids up, and a good place for us.
Financial, it was a struggle.
Yeah.
And when we moved to our small community, there was nothing for sale as far as homes.
Right.
And one of the restrictions, I had to live in town. The bunker was going, the zinc plant, the smelter, and the mines were going. I had 2,500 employees. When I moved in October of '75, I had to stay with my cousin in Wallace because there was nothing available. We ended up renting an apartment at the Bunker Hill Apartments there on by the gondola base, which wasn't there then. But yeah, housing was tight, wages were tight. Other than that, we were glad to be where we were. And, you know, so we made do. We met the challenges. Yeah.
Some of the challenges for me was being away from my family and moving to Idaho. That was pretty hard for me. It was kind of culture shock when we moved here. For me anyways, John already knew. But for me it was definitely culture shock, and then not knowing anybody, not having any friends. So that was a challenge for me. But for the kids, I think they can make friends anywhere, so it was good for them. I really got to get out in the spring because we moved in October. When spring rolled around, we got the kids involved in, Little League and Cub Scouts and all of that. But getting out and actually doing some fishing and some camping with the kids, and that to me changed my whole outlook of Idaho. I just fell in love with it. I would go out and fish myself with my two dogs. I'd pack your
You packed my
Smith & Wesson.
357.
And just in case I ran into anything. But I would just go out fishing by myself, and I loved it. It was just a great time. And then when John would work graveyard, I would take the kids out and we would go and do some stuff together. So it was, that for me, it changed everything. And
She loves her mountains.
I've grown to love this place so much that I always say to John, I say, you can never take me out of here. I would never go back to California. I would never want to move anywhere else. I love it here, and this is my home now, and this is where I'm going to stay until the end.
You'd say we've put deep roots down.
Yeah.
We have.
Yeah, I think it impacted all of us. We got to go out and do so many family things together, and that was always outdoors, you know. One of the things that I absolutely loved, and it's a great memory of mine, is in the winter, around Christmas time, we would get all of you kids into the Volkswagen bus, and we would head out into the mountains, and we would get out and we would go looking for the perfect Christmas tree. That's one of my great memories of doing that, because once we found that perfect tree, then John would get his axe out and start chopping it down, and then we'd drag it all the way down the hill or mountain, wherever we were, and put it on top of the bus, get you kids back into the Volkswagen bus, head on back home, and then look forward to, you kids and myself, we looked forward to the hot chocolate and the cookies, and your dad did not look forward to putting that tree together as far as putting a stand on it. But those were great memories. Those were great memories because we did that every year while you kids were young. And then in the summertime, one of my great memories is going out and picking huckleberries. And then just like I said, going fishing, camping, you know, just getting out and doing all those fun things together.
It's different. We've had a large influx of people moving in. I think one of the issues is here, we're basically a service community. I think housing is a real issue for young couples or people. How can they afford a home for $500,000? I see that as a problem, yeah. Depending on what you're doing too, making a decent living, a decent wage, it can be a challenge, because we're basically a service-oriented economy here. Well, there's a lot of positives about moving here. You know, there are some challenges, I think everywhere, as far as wages and, you know, and housing. It's not just here, it's a lot of places.
It's the times we live in.
But I think there's a lot to be gained by moving here. The closeness of the community, the beauty of the community, the beauty of the state. We're basically a conservative in Idaho. We're a strong believer in the Second Amendment. We have a lot of freedoms here that other states don't have, or other jurisdictions. You have to weigh the good with the bad, I guess. Yeah.
Living in that small community, it's tight-knit. You get to know a lot of people. In my job, I got to meet so many people, and it was just a blessing. I found my church in Smelterville, Idaho, Silver Valley Worship Center. People are great, very tight-knit.
Tight-knit community. People look out for each other. Heck, when I moved back, I found out I was related to half the town. Oh, that's your cousin there.
One of the things I remember when I was working at the nursing home, one of the girls said, "Don't ever talk about anybody when you're here, because, you know, everyone's related to everyone." So,
that's so true.
So that was a good thing to remember. Not that I talked about anybody, because at the time I really didn't know that many people, but.
I had a lot of aunts and uncles on my mother's side, and a lot of cousins. So a lot of relatives, and relatives I didn't even know that were related to me. So that's one of the things about a small community. But they look out for each other. We do, yeah. And well, I know your dad, or I know your mom. I went to school with her, and I know your uncles, and yeah. So there's a closeness. It's a lot different from living in a big city.
Yeah,
it really
sort
is.
of get lost.
I think the kids get a lot more attention, especially in a small community. Participating in sports, especially, there's some notoriety there that wouldn't be had unless you know, in a larger community like San Jose. When I moved there, it was about 250,000. Now it's well over 1 million people. Had we stayed, we were looking at a new home. And I think the homes then were about, brand new home was $55,000.
That was then, this is
55.
now.
And it wasn't long after that the prices really started to go up. That's San Jose and Santa Clara, where you were born.
Palo Alto,
It's
too.
the Silicon Valley. That is one of the most expensive places in the country, if not the most to live. So I was talking to my mom one day, and I see the house next to you. She lived in San Jose, up in the Almaden area, nice area, and I said, I see the house for sale next door. How much they want for it? She said, well, they want $330,000. I go, what? That's when the market was starting to take off, because I think they paid for theirs maybe $70,000. Of course, those homes now are worth probably $2 or $3 million or more. I don't think a family now could live there. Teachers, police officers, firefighters, you know, the backbone of nurses. It'd be very tough to make a living. A lot of them have to live out and commute in, or they rent an apartment, and when they're on duty, they sleep there and then go home on their days off. It's pretty tough. Yeah. This is St. Alphonsus Catholic Church. This is where I made my first communion. I was an altar boy here. I had my confirmation here. This building right around the other side here, the parish hall, I belong to the Boy Scouts here. They're sponsored by their church. Sometimes when they leave the doors unlocked here, we go in upstairs and ring the bell. But yeah, a lot of memories here.
Three things that we've instilled in all of you. Wow, let me think. God, for one. Having God in your life is so important. Respect is another thing that we try to instill in our kids. Respect and love. Yeah,
right.
Love each other.
I would say God, family, and the state of Idaho, the country we live in. We've instilled that, I believe. You know, we've always raised you in a Christian faith.
I'd say for me, hard work. You guys have both
Hard work,
Right,
yeah.
hard work.
Hard
yeah.
work for sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I watched you both. You both worked to take care of us.
Strangers in the night. That's the way it was.
Yeah, two ships passing in the night.
I would sleep in the day and she'd be at
I'd go to
work. And she was home, I'd be at, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't have days off together always, or the holidays, I didn't. Or when she was off, I was working, you know. So it was a team effort.
Yeah, I feel that definitely that was instilled in all of you kids because you've all done well, every one of you. Hard workers.